What's going on, Falcon fans? It's your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. So today, guys, we're going to talk about how most of the national media has the Atlanta Falcons rankings. We're going to talk about their power rankings today. And the question is, are the Atlanta Falcons ranked too low, too high? And do we as a fan base have too many high expectations for this team moving into 2023? So guys, before we get into that, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So like I said, guys, we're going to talk about these power rankings that these national media, all these different, outlets put out, talking about, the power ranking for the NFL and where they actually have the Falcons ranked. Looking at it, the Falcons ranked as low as 27 on this power ranking and as high as 20th on this power ranking. So we're just going to talk about some reasons why they believe that the Atlanta Falcons are ranked where they're ranked. And we're going to, personally, I'm going to dispute some of those things and the reason why I believe that the Falcons are going to be better than what a lot of these people, on the outside looking in at this team, because they really don't know, in my opinion, what the Atlanta Falcons have done this offseason and the potential that this team really have going into this 2023 season. So I'm going to talk about that. So guys, let's kick it with the first power ranking. ESPN had the Atlanta Falcons ranked at 26, and their reasoning for that because they're not 100% sure about the defense additions that was added. They like the additions with guys like Jesse Bates, but they don't think that the Falcons made enough key defensive additions on that side of the ball, so they feel like the Atlanta Falcons are going to be ranked 26. They're not going to be much improvement from that standpoint. NFL.com has the Atlanta Falcons ranked 23rd, and they have the Atlanta Falcons ranked 23rd because they drafted Bijan Robinson. Felt like drafting a running back that high in the draft, they had much more need, so they should not have drafted Bijan Robinson. So they hit him because they felt like the Atlanta Falcons did not add the necessary needs on the team by going out and get explosive running back in Bijan Robinson. CBS has the Atlanta Falcons ranked 26 because of the quarterback position. We don't have to say any more about that. US Today had them ranked 25th because of the quarterback position. The Athletic had the Atlanta Falcons ranked 21st because the quarterback position. Pro Football Focus, they actually had the Atlanta Falcons ranked the lowest, and it's because of their defense. Pro Football Talk had the Atlanta Falcons ranked 22nd because of the quarterback, and then Sports Illustrated had the Atlanta Falcons ranked the highest at power ranking number 20, and they had them ranked number 20, and they also felt like the defense was not good enough for the Atlanta Falcons to be ranked higher than that. So if you're looking at that, guys, for the most part, is we didn't do enough on defense. Our quarterback is unproven. It's not going to be able to get the job done. The one ESPN said we should not have drafted Bijan at number 8. So what I want to do today is just talk about some of those things. And first, we're going to talk about the defense, right? So we're going to look at the Falcons defense in 2022, and they was ranked 27 in total D, right? Which is not good, right? It's only 32 teams in the league. The Atlanta Falcons were ranked 27 in total D. They was 25th in pass, giving up 231 yards. 23rd in run defense, giving up 130 yards a game. And in score defense, they was 23rd, giving up about 22.7 yards, 22.7 points a game. And then, of course, we know we only had 21 sacks. So that's not good, right? So if you're just going off last year's defense, you could say the Atlanta Falcons did not make any additions. They didn't do anything this offseason. You could only kind of see where these power rankings would make sense, right? That's where you would kind of look at what the Atlanta Falcons did last season and kind of, translate that into what they potentially could do this year from a defensive standpoint. However, but what I want to talk about, if you look at what the Atlanta Falcons did over the last 6 games last season, and Dean Pease mentioned this before he got out the door, right? He felt like the defense started to improve over the last 6 games of the season, and I tend to agree with him, right? Of course, the last 6 games of the season, of course, we didn't win all those games. We lost against the Commanders, we lost against the Steelers, the Saints, and we lost against the Ravens as well. We won the last 2 games, of course, but if you look at the scoring defense in all those 6 games, against the Commanders, we only gave up 19 points in that game, right? So if our offense could, conjure up some more points, we had a good chance to win that game. Against the Steelers, we only gave up 19 points in that game. Against the New Orleans Saints, only gave up 21 points. Against the Baltimore Ravens, only gave up 17. Against the Cardinals, only 19. And against the Buccaneers, the last game of the season, only gave up 17 points. So, and then if you go look at all those games, a lot of those points came in the first half, right? So, actually, Dean Pease was able to make adjustments coming out in the second half, and he was able pretty much to keep teams from actually putting more points on the board. So, a lot of those points was done, given up in the first half. Look at the second half of the games, and the Atlanta Falcons defense actually stood up. The issue was, from a defensive standpoint, in 2022, was our offense could not put enough points on the board. So if you look at those last 6 games, if we score 22 points in each one of those games, we'll actually come out with a win, right? So that's where you can look at where I feel like the Atlanta Falcons, and my first point was that the defense, even though we had all the additions, the defense was trending up towards the last of the season, right? So you got to look at that, right? Over the whole entire season, 17 games. Of course, we have the rankings, where they're at, but the Atlanta Falcons started to trend up on a defensive standpoint. And if we could have just put more points on the board, we could have won some of those games, and those 6 games would have put us right in the playoffs. So that's where you got to look at from a defensive standpoint. So my first point, like I said, that the Atlanta Falcons were trending up. My second point is that it's just simply these guys are really not looking at all the key additions that Atlanta Falcons have brought to this roster in 2023, right? If you look at the trenches is pretty much a complete overhaul. Guys that they brought in, David Onyemata, Eddie Goldman came back out of retirement. Taquan Graham is coming back from an injury, right? We brought in Calais Campbell, brought in Bud Dupree. You expect guys like Armor Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone to make those jumps from year 1 to year 2. So just on those guys alone, and I didn't even mention Grady, right? Because we know Grady's going to do what he does. But those guys alone is going to make this defense better, right? Those are things they got to do. The biggest thing is they got to be able to stop the run. Got to be able to stop the run, right? 130 yards a game is not going to get it. We got to try to keep that under 100 yards a game, right? We got to be able to rush the passer. 21 sacks is definitely not where we want to be next year. We want to be able to get the quarterback off his spot. We want to be able to get the ball out of his hands and create turnovers. So definitely want to do that as well. Those are things I think that Atlanta Falcons have a good chance to improve in this year, which I don't believe any of these guys that ranked them kind of see where these additions is going to help in those categories, right? And then the last thing we want to be able to do is get off the field on third down. I thought too many times last year the Atlanta Falcons got in third and shorts and things like that, and it really make it really hard for the defense to get off the field because the offense has the advantage on those third and shorts. So we can get in third and longs, stop the run, and we might be able to create those turnovers. And turnover on downs is always a good thing, putting the ball back to our offense. And the last thing that I think that's going to really help this defense this year is the additions of Ryan Nielsen and the combination of Jerry Gray. right? We know Ryan Nielsen specializes in the trenches, the defensive line. Just look at what he was able to do with the New Orleans Saints over the last 6 seasons while he was there. Bringing him in with these talented defensive linemen that we have. I can't wait to see him be able to unleash Grady Jarrett, who actually has some help right now. Putting Calais Campbell back at the end. He said he's going to play most of this at the end, where he actually loves playing out there. I think he's going to really do well out there this year. Bringing in Eddie Goldman, if he can just get back up to the level he was when he was Chicago, that would be awesome. Taquan Graham, one of the best run defenders in the league. If you go back and look at how he played last year, and then of course Dave Mamiata, one of the best pass rushers from the interior defensive lineman in the league as well. That's going to help that, right? And then you tie Jerry Gray, that one of the best defensive back coaches out there, got defensive coordinator experience, even head coaching experience. Jerry Gray is going to be able to make sure that that defensive backfield, with the additions of guys like Jesse Bates, I expect Richard Grant to take another leap. We know AJ Terrell is going to continue to do the things he's been doing his entire career. Hopefully we can get Jeff Okudah to actually have a resurgent, right? Number 3 overall pick. And I think the additions of guys like Caden Ellis, and that jump for Troy Anderson from year 1 to year 2. So from a defensive standpoint, those are the reasons why I believe that looking at these rankings from these different outlets is just completely wrong. And I think the real reason is because they really don't understand what the Falcons were able to do this offseason, right? But they got to go out and prove it. I know that from a defensive standpoint, being ranked number 27 is really difficult. Going from 1 year to the next year. Of course, we got a new defensive coordinator, right? Different scheme, things like that. But I think the additions of the personnel and the coaching staff with a guy like Ryan Nielsen and Jerry Gray, that combination is going to make this Atlanta Falcons team be able to gel a lot quicker, and they're going to be able to get those numbers up. And in my opinion, the Atlanta Falcons defense have an opportunity to be at least in the top 15 on the defensive rankings coming out of year 2023. So let me know what you think about that from a defensive standpoint. All right, so now let's get into the offense, right? And if you look at the from offense standpoint, of course, they mentioned drafting Bijan, and understandable. I understand where everybody said that drafting a or running back that high is never a good thing. But, you know, drafting a guy that could be a generational talent is definitely something totally different when you talk about that. That's why a guy like Saquon Barkley was taken, a guy like Christian McCaffrey. And no one can argue that both of those guys are not a dynamic still today in the league. So that's why you draft guys like that. Todd Gurley is another guy. Even though Todd Gurley was injured, you know, career cut short, but he was another guy that you would draft. And because if you just go look at his first 3 seasons, Zeke Elliott is another guy. I understand, you know, over time, those guys start to wear down and things like that. But if you just go look at those guys' careers, you know, in the first couple seasons, how they actually help their teams, and bringing a guy like Bijan to the team is definitely going to be able to catapult this offense to another level, especially what they was able to do last year with a running back like Tyler Algier. So, quarterback position, we already know how everybody feels about Desmond Ridder, right? Only 4 starts in the NFL, has a lot to prove, but I can tell you this. The first point that I'm going to make about our quarterback position, it will be better this year than it was last year. Simply as that, right? I just believe that Desmond Ridder is a better passer than a guy like Marcus Mariota. Yes, he's younger. He's going to make mistakes because that's what young quarterbacks do. But from a passing standpoint, I believe he's going to be a better passer. So I believe the first point I'm going to say from an offensive standpoint is our quarterback play is going to be better. If you just go look at the things that Desmond Ridder able to do, yes, it was only a 4-game sample size, but if you go look at what Desmond Ridder able to do, those 4 games, he was able to trend up each game, right? he was able to start to settle down, read, and each game he actually got better as the game went along, right? So that's what you want to be able to see from a young quarterback, be able to make adjustment, understand what you're doing wrong, understand that you're getting sped up just a little bit. And once he was able to settle down, the biggest thing for Desmond Ridder, if you go look at his third down and fourth down completion percentages in those 4 games, they was really, really good. So under pressure, we talk about situational football all the time, and pressure moments, Desmond Ridder played really, really well. We had an opportunity to win the 2 games that he played in against the New Orleans Saints. We lost 18-21. If Drake London don't fumble that ball, who knows what happened in that game, right? Against the Baltimore Ravens, I think the Atlanta Falcons got a really, really bad penalty call in that play. We lost that game, cold game. A lot of things went wrong. If you just go back and look at that, Drake London fumbled the ball in that game as well, right? That's why he's been working this hard with Pill this year to make sure he can have ball security. But Desmond Ridder really, really played well in both of those losses, especially in the second half. So his trend going up. So my first point for our offense is simply the quarterback position will play better this year, and I can promise you that. Even if Desmond Ridder goes down and Taylor Heineke come in, the quarterback position will be better this year going into 2023. The second point is simple. Our offensive line and our running game is going to remain consistent. I have no reasons to believe that it's going to get worse. The Atlanta Falcons was 4th in rushing last year. Addition to a guy like Bijan Robinson is just going to help with that. Bringing in a guy like Matthew Bergeron, who's definitely probably going to go in the camp battle with Matt Hennessy, but my expectation is that he will beat Matt Hennessy out and be our starting left guard beside Jake Matthew going into week 1. I believe our offensive line is going to be consistent, and we're going to be able to continue to run the ball like we need to. And we all know that a running game is the quarterback best friend. So that's my second point. And then my last point is simply the additions on offense. And I mean guys like Kyle Pitts, right, who we did not get to see the last half of the season last year. Of course, Bijan Robinson, adding him in, dynamic playmaker coming out of Texas. All the things he's able to do, behind the backfield, lining up in the slot, just getting the ball into our playmaker's hand. And a guy like Jonnu Smith, another addition, I think is really going to be helpful. Just adding those guys to the offense to go along with Drake London, and then a guy like Mac Hollins and Scotty Miller. So those are the reasons why I believe our offense is going to be better. So if we can recall, go all the way back to offseason last year when guys had the Atlanta Falcons going 2-15, right? And we all knew, everybody knew that was just a misjudgment of the Atlanta Falcons. No belief in this coaching staff and what Arthur Smith was able to do. Back-to-back seasons going 7-10, and definitely people can say that 7-10 is 2 losing seasons, but consider to what this regime had to come into the last 2 seasons, it's just really outstanding what they was able to do in their first 2 seasons. I know we want to see wins. We want to see the Atlanta Falcons get back into the postseason, but let's be honest and let's be realistic about what they had to work with. The cap situation they had, aging stars that took up most of the cap, bringing in a lot of undrafted guys on the roster to come in to play big minutes. Your draft class playing big minutes. 2 different offenses in back-to-back seasons because of the quarterback position with the change of the quarterback. So many different situations that we definitely have to look at. Of course, Arthur Smith was a rookie coach, in the first season, so he definitely made some mistakes that rookie coaches make. But I think he kind of addressed most of those going into season 2, and his game management situational football. The game plan, calling the game was entirely a lot better going into year 2. So these are the reasons why I expect the Atlanta Falcons to definitely be more successful this year, simply because of, all the key moves that they made this offseason, being able to utilize cap space that they not able to use, from the Atlanta Falcons probably since Arthur Blank been here, right? And then the fact that going into next season still be able to build this team even more. So I think this Atlanta Falcons team is going in the right direction. The power rankings are what they are, right? But it's up to the Atlanta Falcons. We thought that they had chips on their shoulder last year when everybody just counted them out going 2-15. With these additions on the team this year and the confidence that we already, feel around the team, from the coaches, from the players, from us, the fan base, I believe this year is going to be electric, and I can't wait to see what this Atlanta Falcons team is going to do. So to end with the question, do I believe that the expectations are too high for the Atlanta Falcons? I'm definitely going to say hell no. I think the Atlanta Falcons definitely going to be a lot better. I agree with Mina Kimes from ESPN. She said that she thinks Atlanta Falcons is going to be a playoff team this year. I agree. I believe the Atlanta Falcons is going to win NFC South. But, at the end of the day, they got to go out and show it, right? So, guys, let me know what you think about these power rankings. Do you believe that the additions on the defensive side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball, the continuity with the coaching staff, with a guy like Arthur Smith, we got a lot of new faces on defense from that standpoint, but I believe that this team is going to be where it needs to be going into December. So, guys, give me your opinion on these power rankings. This is your boy, Ricundo, coming back at you with another video. Peace.